Welcome back to Technique Tuesday. This is Ballroom Feed, and today we're going to talk about how not to step on your dance partner. The biggest thing is how we set up to each other, right? So regardless of the dance that we're doing, whether it's the slow dances like foxy, rumba, waltz, rhythm dances like cha-cha-rumba, or the nightclub dances like salsa and bachata, we always line up to the left of our partner, right? So if I show you like this, my right foot is in between my partner's feet. Her right foot is in between my feet, yes? Even if we close our feet together, we still offset ourselves slightly to the left, right? So if I look straight forward, I can see over her shoulder, whereas if we're right in front of each other now, as I start to move into her, I would go and step on her feet. Especially if we make a mistake, we'll definitely run each other over, right? So the biggest thing is I always set myself up offset of my partner, so that we have these 4 separate tracks that we get to move on. So if she takes a step backwards and I take a step forward, you can see I'm still offset slightly of her feet. Now if I go forward again and she goes backwards, I actually am in between her feet, which is the most important thing ever, because this is where we usually step on our partner, right? Now, leaders or the person walking forward doesn't want to step on their partner, so we do the most normal thing, which is to try to avoid them, right? So if I already take my first step forward to my left foot, the second step here, we typically go and we try to walk outside of our partner a lot because we don't want to step on them, which is very nice. But if you already did step 1 correctly and offset yourself a little bit, when you go forward and then try to avoid them, you actually end up going on her track, and now I'm more likely to step on her because I went outside a little bit, instead of with my right foot going right in between her feet, yes? So now the hope is, if you set this up correctly, you're looking over the shoulder. If we go to take our first step and she goes back on the right foot, but I used the wrong foot on accident, I still didn't step on her because I'm offset a little bit. So now we, less margin for error, which is really great, right? So now, let's say we take 2 steps again. I'm a little bit outside. I'm going right through the middle of her feet. And then we get to, let's say we're doing foxy. We do a sway from there, right? Again, really where I'm looking, where my center is how I'm aligning just outside of my partner here. You want to build the confidence that you have to walk through the middle of your partner. So whenever my right foot's going forward and we're in closed dance position, I'm walking right in the middle of her body, right into her spine, right? So the best way to practice this is in a practice dance position, right? So if I'm worried about this, or it's our first time dancing any dance, or especially the ones that travel because we have to go through each other, taking a closed dance position means we're very close to each other and we have more risk, right? At its farthest, we could always just hold hands and be really far from each other because we want to get used to walking confidently and taking normal steps instead of tiny, hesitant ones that get really awkward and kind of wobble side to side. The next step up from that is I can take the elbows, which is like the most common practice hold we use. We recommend every time you learn a new pattern, you really always start here first. It's the perfect distance. We have a little bit of space, and I have a decent amount of control. We're not going to run each other over, which is nice too. So now if I do the foxy again and I walk through her with this right foot, I get used to that feeling of walking right into my partner. And as we become more successful at that, we get closer in a normal dance position and be able to, build some confidence there.
So a tip while we're in this practice hold and in dance position in general is for both of us to think about, especially the follower because they're moving backwards, to keep about keeping the elbows in front of yourself. So if we do that, now we're gonna remain consistent while we're moving backwards, and we can kind of gauge the size of the step of the leader, which also helps prevent being stepped on. So if I were to let my frame go, and then I try to move my foot after because I'm not connecting forward to my partner, you can see then we can easily step on each other or get stepped on. So that is true for the leader as well. That way I can feel his lead. If he were to take a step but his elbows went behind him, now it's really difficult to get the feeling, and then I can also get stepped on at that point. So it's easier to do in this position because we have this more obvious connection, I think. So here in dance position now, we have this connection, which is more obvious. His hand's on my back, and then what I can do is put my left hand on the front of his shoulder instead of around the neck or behind him like this. That way what I'm gonna do is just slightly press away into this hand. So now I have that same pushing away feeling. My elbow's still in front of me, so if he were to take a step now, I can maintain that distance because I'm feeling the connection in my left hand, whereas if you had it around and you're a beginner, it can be harder to maintain the connection. So I'd recommend for all beginners, no matter the dance style, in your dance position, is putting it in front so you can push away.
Nice. So in summary, this checklist now is offset myself to the left so that I can see over my partner's right shoulder. If you made a mistake during a pattern, you're probably going, okay, either did I use the correct foot and were we looking in the wrong place? Because where I look will determine my dance position to her. However, you can always look at your partner as long as you stay cognizant of being offset from each other. So even if we want to dance, we're dancing Foxy, we're doing a wedding dance, whatever else, I can still see her as I'm dancing, but I have to stay aware that I have to stay outside of her this entire time, even if I see her. If you're having trouble, you're stepping on each other a lot, you'd both look to the left. And I would stay looking to the left until you can feel comfortable enough and consistent enough. And as it gets better, now you can start to look at each other as you dance, which is totally fine, right? However, you can never look to the right. Neither of us can ever look past our partner to the right because that will naturally bring us in front or even on the opposite side of our partner, and you will definitely step on each other.
I just said I have one more thing for the followers. So we talked about the leaders taking direct steps forward instead of kind of outside. That actually goes the same for the follower, because if he's going directly forward, but then we do something funny where we kind of go outside or weird, we can get stepped on because we're kind of pulling him around. So for you, it's definitely a trust in your partner, and that's why we always recommend starting this far apart so you can get the steps together and trust that your partner isn't gonna step on you when you get closer. That way you can still go back directly instead of doing these like kind of waddling steps. It'll also feel better and look better once you get confident in not stepping on your partner or getting stepped on at that point.
This is a great point that if you look at Lynn's, look at her spine, right, the middle of her body. As she takes consecutive steps backwards, it should move straight towards you instead of the wrong version. If she wobbles back and forth and she lets her spine bounce from side to side, it means she has a crazy weight transfer and she's off balance, because there's no way her and I are gonna sync up if we both go and wobble side to side. Now this is what our legs and our feet look like as we walk. If I turn around and do the same thing, as I walk forward through her, even in a dance position, my spine travels straight forward, opposed to like wobbling back and forth and trying to avoid her because I'm afraid to walk through her.
It also makes it very difficult for me as a follower to get a clear signal about direction, because we often change direction when we start advancing in the syllabus, depending on the dance.
Yeah.
But it just overall is gonna feel better too. It's gonna feel really awkward for you because you never walk in real life like that. So if you just get confident in walking straight, directly backwards or forwards, it's gonna make your life so much easier and it's gonna look a heck of a lot better as well.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on Technique Tuesday. Now we know only 95% of you are subscribed right now, so hit the subscribe button, leave a comment if you have any other questions or other Technique Tuesdays we want us to go over. Like the video and we will definitely see you next time. Check out ballroomfeed.com for more videos and pro content of better, more in-depth information.